and welcome to People's Voice on VOP TV, where we amplify the concerns, stories, perspectives, and the voices of Nigerian citizens. It's a beautiful week, and it's been a long weekend stretching into the new week. But trust me to bring to you everything that concerns you and more. My name is Adefunke Jayesimi, and today on the People's Voice, we are discussing some pressing issues affecting Nigerians. You know, that's my major concern as always. So let's dive right into Benue under siege. Uncertainty grips the state as attacks persist. So the people of Benue State are currently living in constant fear as attacks continue to plague the region. A recent incident involving a bus intercepted by gunmen on Sunday yesterday, June 22, 2025, while en route to Makurdi from Abeokuta, Ogun State, has left 11 passengers and a driver missing, with one passenger managing to escape. This attack occurred at about 6:30 p.m. yesterday in Okoko local government area, highlighting the insecurity that has become a norm in Benue State. Let's talk about a tale of two governors, as it's been a back and forth between the former governor Otom and the current governor Father Alia. So the current governor Father Alia has been quick to point fingers at his predecessor Otom, accusing him of failing to address security issues during his tenure. Alia's aide, Kula Teso, claimed that under Otom's watch, Benue State recorded the highest number of internally displaced persons, IDPs, in its histories, and with over 4 million people displaced from their ancestral home. However, the question remains, what is Governor Alia doing to address the current security challenges, and when will he move away from the past and begin to live in the reality that the people of Benue are currently living in? Well, away from that story, in a bid to address some of the country's pressing issues, the Senate is considering 31 new proposals for state creation with a focus on granting full autonomy to 774 local government areas, LGAs, and this move aims to enhance governance and development at the grassroots level. Some of the proposed bills include local government autonomy, establishing local government councils as a constitutionally recognized tier of government to guarantee their democratic existence and tenure. Also, on the part of the Independent Electoral Commission, creating of an independent National Local Government Electoral Commission, NALGEC, to organize, conduct, and supervise local government elections. Also, they talk about judicial overhaul, considering 20 bills seeking to reform the judiciary, including proposals to set timelines for judgment delivery and expand the jurisdiction of election tribunals. On the part of state creation, they are currently reviewing about 31 proposals for state creation, with requests from various regions, including 7 from the Northeast, 6 from the Northwest, 5 each from the Southwest, South-South, and North Central, and 3 from the Southeast. Meanwhile, a debate has emerged over the Zamfara state government's potential plan to negotiate with bandits in the state. Governor Dauda Lawal has denied reports of negotiating with bandits, stating that his administration will not engage in talks with terrorists, but instead, he emphasized that negotiations can only occur when bandits surrender their arms and repent without conditions. But critics argue that negotiating with bandits is a sign of weakness and emboldening them. The Northern Security and Integrity Forum, NSIF, has accused the governor of hypocrisy, citing his previous criticism of former Governor Bello Matawale's approach to banditry in the state. NSIF argues that Matawale's strategy of dialogue and reconciliation was visionary and pragmatic, and that Lawal's current approach lacks a strategic framework beyond media optics. Well, there you have it. Opinions, counter-opinions, but in all of this, where's the interest of the Nigerian people? Let's talk about the road ahead as the country currently navigates these uncertain times. Stakeholders are divided on the viability of the national coalition plots to remove the current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government. While some believe that this coalition may not succeed due to selfish tendencies, others think that it shouldn't be dismissed without considering the political dynamics that will play out ahead of the 2027 general election. The people of Benue State, on their part, deserves better regardless of the politicking ahead of the 2027 election, and they also deserve a government that prioritizes their safety and well-being. It's time for the government to take concrete actions and address the security challenges in the state and ensure that justice is served. And as the #1 citizen of the state, the governor needs to take responsibility and be accountable for everything happening in the state now while seeking for external support. But it's time to go on a quick break now. When we return, we'll begin to talk more on the recent developments in Benue State and more. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with People's Voice this beautiful afternoon. We are continuing our discussion on the security challenges facing Benue State and the leadership style, emphasis on the leadership style of Governor WOES, also Reverend Father ALIA. As concerned citizens and political commentators across the country and beyond are indeed questioning Governor ALIA'S leadership style amid rising insecurity in Benue State. Despite taking office on May 29, 2023, Governor ALIA delayed appointing its security advisor, sparking concerns about his administration's ability to tackle security challenges, knowing what was already on ground and maybe putting a bit of personal opinions or thoughts into running an all-inclusive government. Father ALIA, who is a Catholic priest turned politician, has background in religious leadership, which some people argue may not adequately prepare him for the complexities of governance. His journey to the governorship was marked by a suspension from the Catholic Church due to his decision to run for office, a testament to the challenges he faced in transitioning from a spiritual leader to a political leader. I mean, it's enough to be a political leader, but is it the same thing to govern a state? And what are the implications of the action and style of the governor? Well, some of the predicaments in Benue State before he came into office right now, which he hasn't fully addressed, include insecurity, which has been persistent. Persistent attacks and kidnappings have left citizens feeling helpless, with many questioning the effectiveness of the government's security measures. Many have lost their lives and many lost their livelihood, which is an unfortunate situation for people to be in. There's a part of agricultural development, even though Father ALIA'S administration has initiated agricultural programs such as subsidizing fertilizers for farmers. More needs to be done to boost food production and empower rural community, but most importantly, more needs to be done in terms of security, because only when there's peace, then people can actually farm. Let's talk about infrastructure in Benue State. The state's infrastructure, including roads and healthcare facilities, requires significant improvement to enhance the quality of life for Benue residents. And on job creation, members, people from the region or from the state are saying that unemployment remains a pressing issue. Well, with the insecurity, that's going to be a major challenge for even organizations within the state. And the government's efforts to create jobs, such as the Benue Go digital platform, may not be enough to address the scale of the problem in the state. He also worked on ghost worker syndrome, which many have applauded him for. The administration of Father ALIA has made efforts in streamlining the government's payroll system, eliminating over 2,500 ghost workers and saving over 1 billion naira monthly. But saving 1 billion naira monthly, then where exactly can we channel this money to? If you ask me, maybe security, because the #1 thing for every citizen to at least enjoy is safety in their own homes. However, more needs to be done to ensure transparency and accountability in governance. But given these challenges, many are left wondering if Father ALIA is actually weak, or if he's still operating in a mindset suited for spiritual leadership rather than governance. The jury is still out, but one thing is certain, that the people of Benue State deserve effective leadership that prioritizes their safety, well-being, and economic development. They don't deserve to always get stories around being stories or condemnation of acts that continue to ravage their communities and make them homeless. So it's time to talk more. It's time to delve deeper into this topic. Let's hear more from Dr. Steve Okwori, a renowned security, safety, and crime management consultant, who is joining me virtually from Abuja. Good afternoon, Dr. Okwori.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me once again.
All right, thank you for always doing this with us. We really do appreciate you. Let's talk about Father ALIA'S leadership amidst insecurity. And I would like to start with the position of critics who have talked about weaknesses in governance. Dr. Okwori, do you think that Father ALIA'S background as a Catholic priest has influenced his governance style in addressing the deepening insecurity in Benue State, or are there specific witnesses that needs more attention? Because it looks more like the situation of a father telling the people that peace be unto you and we will only be hopeful in Christ. Can you hear me? Hello, Dr. Okwori.
Hello?
Did you get the question?
Do you know that when you started asking the question, I didn't get the question. The network started messing up when you started asking the question.
Okay, let me go back to the question. I was talking about critics complaining or suggesting weaknesses in governance in Benue State. And I'm asking you if you think that Father ALIA'S background as a Catholic priest has influenced his governance style in addressing the deepening insecurity in Benue State, or are there specific weaknesses that need more attention? Because it looks more like a situation where whatever happens, spiritual leaders just keep telling us to be peaceful and God will come through for us.
Yeah, thank you for having me once again. And fortunately for me, I'm from Benue. Are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. I'm from Benue. So whatever the issues are and whatever I'm going to say, at least I'm going to say them or say it from the perspective of an informed background. Now, you see, aspiring for an office requires a lot. But in Nigeria, the whole ball game is different. Some people aspire for an office because of their ethnicity, the tribe where they come from. And they feel that with the tribe where they come from makes them qualified to run for an office. Some people think that because of their religion, they are qualified to run for an office. These are the first things that comes to their mind. But I think the office of governor requires a lot. It goes beyond your ethnic background, your religion, and a whole lot. I think it requires a well-prepared person. You see, most people aspire for the office of governor without being prepared for the job. And the job is so tasking, right? And they see it, they commonize it. And when they are now overburdened or overwhelmed with the issues that is confronting the office, they lose focus, they lose direction. Now, with the insecurity issues in Benue, before now, we've been experiencing insecurity issues in Benue, there were killings and all that. But you see, the point is, no governor wants his people to be killed intentionally. But in as much as you don't want your people to be killed, you must have to ensure that as governor of the state, who happens to be the #1 citizen of the state, as the chief security officer of the state, whether we like it or not, you are the chief security officer of the state. And don't forget that while he was campaigning, he had it in his manifesto that he was going to provide the people with security. He assured the people of protection of lives and their property, right? Are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just want to get
Okay.
better perspective to the background story.
Okay. So
No
you
worry, I'm going to
during
remain on your
campaign.
screen so you can see that I'm paying attention to you.
So you as when he was aspiring to for the office of governor, he assured the people of their security. So now that you are governor, the security of the people is not guaranteed. And this is the time you discover that you are not no longer the chief security officer of the state because of the way the security architecture is or apparatus is arranged, that the federal government has total control of security.
Let me come in here,
Now,
Dr. Okori. You said he
yeah,
promised during his campaign to provide security to the people.
absolutely.
That means he
Yes.
understands the history in Benue State when it comes to insecurity.
Absolutely.
So why
Absolutely.
did it take so long before appointing even a security advisor in the state?
That's the point. That's why I said it takes beyond what you think, right? What we are talking about here, we're talking about somebody that is prepared for the office of governor. If you are prepared for the office of governor, before coming on board, you knew that there were insecurity issues or challenges that were confronting Benue before you came on board.
Right.
So why will it take you such a time from May to October before he was able to appoint a special advisor on security? Now, I know that a serious government and a serious governor that has issues of security on its front burner, the moment you are coming on board as governor, on that May 29th that you are sworn in, one of the first 2, 3 appointments that I know that a serious governor does is number one, a chief press secretary. He
Right.
must have a spokesperson,
Right.
right? Then the next person that should come on board is the secretary to the secretary to the state
State
government,
government, right?
right? Then the next appointment that I think that is supposed to come on board that very day of your swearing in is the advisor to the governor on security, because security issues are issues that without these things or the modalities or measures being in place, you don't expect development to strive. You don't expect farmers to go to the farm. You don't expect your economy to grow. All you experience is price inflation when it has to do with farm produce or goods in the market. So a whole lot is wrong or is not going well when you don't have security in place. So as a matter of priority, when we want to look at the scale of preference as you
Right.
come in as governor, one of the first things that a sincere and a serious governor must put on his scale of preference, as in first,
Right.
should be security. Because without security, nothing, absolutely nothing will happen in your state, right? Because you cannot continue to see people. Now, you talked about during your introduction, you talked about he has provided farming items or whatever. You talked about provision of
Subsidized
fertilizer.
fertilization.
But yeah, okay, now let me take you to that community that this recent attack happened. Yerwata community. Just imagine that he provided the farmers with subsidized fertilizers and all that. Are they on ground now to farm the farm and plant and apply the fertilizer?
Yeah, I mentioned it in my introduction that no matter what has been done, I mean, it's only people that are at peace that can go to farm. I mentioned that.
Absolutely. Yes. So I'm just trying to agree with what you have said, because just the way nothing, whether you give them these fertilizers for free and they don't have an enabling environment to access their farms, it means what you have done is waste because it cannot apply. Now, over 1,000 of members of that community are in IDP camps in Makadi, right? The community is deserted. There's nobody there. So tell me what will happen in that community. So security, as a matter of fact, any country, any state that is serious about having their development strides in place and for them to get or achieve results, you must first of all take care of your security. But in this case, the first 5, 6, 7 months of his administration, an advisor on security wasn't there. As a matter of fact, the State House of Assembly had to give him 48 hours to appoint an advisor on security
That's bad.
before he before he did, and went and appointed a retired lieutenant colonel. That, of course, anyway, is his prerogative to appoint whoever he wants to appoint.
Sure.
But in the last 2 years, how well has he, uh, what do you call it now? The
Prefer.
key KPIs, as in key performance indicator. How
Yeah.
well has he assessed their performance? Of the advisors. As I speak to you, he has about 3 advisors on security. There's advisor security external, advisor security internal. Then he created the Bureau for Homeland Security.
So
Who has
why does it seem to always appear helpless?
I don't understand.
Because
Right
in
now,
most of the interviews that he has granted, he has even been inconsistent with his allegations. Today is something,
absolutely.
tomorrow is another thing. So what exactly is the problem?
Ex- Exactly. That shows there's no coordination. I expect a coordination between him and his advisors, coordination between heads of security agencies in Benue, i.e., the commissioners of police, the head of the brigade, the head of the tactical Air Force base in Makadi, and all that. It shows there's no coordination because the governor, as chief secretary of the state, today will say it was foreigners that came into Benue to kill people. Tomorrow he will say it is herdsmen. Next tomorrow he will say
It's politically
political
motivated and some
related,
big
and some
politicians in Abuja.
is in Abuja. So why the inconsistency coming from the governor? It means that the people who cannot hold you in trust, that when you say something as governor, people should now rely and believe in what you are saying, right? So
Okay.
it shows there's no coordination. And for me, we have not even seen where the advisors are even making comments or making statements with regards to
Exactly,
the issues.
because this is new. Actually, I'm even surprised that there are up to 3 different offices as to advising the government on security in Benue State. But let's talk about the relationship with the president, which many have termed as eye service to the presidency. Do you believe that Father ALIA'S administration is genuinely committed to addressing the state's issues or merely paying lip service to the president's initiatives?
Now, as chief security officer of a state, I don't want to agree or believe that she should totally believe in what the federal government is offering, right? Because he has his budget. I think he can. There's need for him to begin to see how to think outside the box, right? Because even when the president visited the state on a condolence visit and to assess firsthand what happened in Benue as a result of the attack, the president, in his statement, told the governor that the box lies on your table as governor of the state.
Right.
That we're not here to bury, we're here to
To
commission
govern.
projects. Yeah, since you became governor, it is one issue of attack barriers and all that. That the work lies on his table. So what that means is that as chief secretary of the officer of your state, you have to think outside the box. How well, just the way we said, or I said initially, how well is he working with in conjunction or in collaboration with the heads of security agencies in the state? I know that the commissioner of police and the other heads of they have the mandate already, to be able to address these insecurity issues in the state. This man takes well over 3 billion or more as security votes monthly, right?
Right.
So I expect that he should be able to think outside the box beyond what the conventional security agencies are doing. What is it I want to do differently, in addressing the insecurity issues in the state?
Okay.
I give you an instance, the governor of Bauchi State. You can see that Bauchi is relatively peaceful because the governor, I'm a researcher. I did a research and I discovered that the governor of Bauchi State is working in collaboration with the Nigerian Forest Security Service, a volunteer security organization
Yeah.
that is existing, but the bill to establish them is before the president for assent. But the governor, never mind that, okay, they are not a local strong organization yet because the president hasn't assented to the bill establishing them. But
Right.
he saw the importance of the organization. And as I speak to you, he has well over 800 personnel of the Nigerian Forest Security Service on his payroll that he is paying from government coffers, right? And for him, bringing the security service on board It's paying him. And that's why I said this Benue governor needs to think outside the box, because other governors are thinking outside the box.
It
And
really needs to do so, because if he's saving up to 1 billion naira from being able to eliminate ghost over 2,005 ghost workers in the states, then that money should be channeled into something that would protect the people. But let's talk more.
absolutely,
Let's talk about his exhibited traits since taking office. Let's talk about leadership style. Since taking office on May 29, 2023, as Father Alia demonstrated a leadership style that prioritizes the welfare and safety of Benue State citizens, or are there concerns about his genuine ability to make tough decisions?
I discovered that he's an intolerant person. He doesn't tolerate, right? He doesn't have the patience to listen. And that is from what I discovered. And that is why they have allowed him to walk alone. For crying out loud, how can we have a governor of a state that is the leader of the state and also the leader of his political party in the state? He's not working in harmony. He is not in peace with some political leaders from his state. For I give it to you, the secretary to the government of the federation is from his state.
Right.
The
George Akume.
the three senators from his state, two are of his party, one is of the PDP. He is not working with them. The members of the House of Reps, there are about 11 from Benue. I think he's working with just one or so. So, members of the State House of Assembly, if a bill or a motion is brought before the House, perhaps or apparently sponsored by him, and one or two or three members oppose to the motion or the bill, they are suspended. As I
Really?
speak to you, yes, as I speak to you, out of 31 members of the House of Assembly, 13 were suspended for
By the
one reason or
state
the other
governor.
by the State House of Assembly, the Speaker.
By the State House
But
of
of course,
Assembly.
yes, but the Speaker, of course, you are aware that we don't have a State House of Assemblies. All of them are rubber stamp. Even the National Assembly, of course, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but
So
why are we not hearing so much of this? Because it feels like Nigerians are particularly interested in just the president and the presidency. 13 members of the House of Assembly in Benue State are currently have been suspended by the Speaker of the House. There's no way the governor would not be aware of this event. So
the governor is aware. He was the one that gave the instruction that they should be suspended, and that until a written apology from the suspended members before they will come back. As I speak to you, some couple of weeks ago, 6 wrote an apology. They've been recalled. The other 7 are still out there. I think they are refusing to write an apology.
I'm sorry, is it the same Father Alia we are talking about?
Absolutely. How can you govern a state where you are in disarray? The state is not in unity. You belong to the same political party, and people are not working together, and you think you can get result when a state is in disarray? So the point I'm making is that as leader of the state, as leader of his party in the state, he needs to calm down from his high horse. Seriously. He needs to come down from his high horse and be able to work with people. See, in this part of the world, our political office holders are lord and masters. Meanwhile, they are supposed to be seen as servants because they are performing responsibilities on our behalf.
Don't you think, sorry, doctor, don't you think his position, having served as a Reverend Father for so long, we know like that's about the highest part of the office in the Catholic churches. Don't you think that trait is also affecting his leadership style?
Because considering his background and where he came from or where he was coming from, he would have at least gone for having emerged as a candidate of the party, right, before the general election. He would have taken a course, perhaps within or outside the shores of the country, because he was coming to a different terrain entirely, right? So there was need for him to go for a course, leadership course or something that will refresh him, to give him a better informed background that, okay, this is where I'm coming from. He shouldn't come and begin to see Benue citizens as his parishioners, as governor. We are not his parishioners. We are citizens of the state that we are entitled to certain constitutional responsibilities of the governor.
All right.
They took oath of office to provide security for the people. That section 14(2)(b) of the Constitution is not for the federal government alone. It's both for the state and the local government. Their responsibility is to provide security. They took oath of office, right? So I think that he would have done a refresher course or something on leadership for perhaps like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. He's an intelligent person. He has PhD in the theology or whatever that he read, that he has a PhD in it. So there was need for him to go there, to come back and see that, okay, this is a different terrain entirely.
Okay.
Where he should sit down and listen to people. He should not see criticism, constructive criticism as an attack.
Yeah, I think that's one weakness that goes beyond the governor of Benue State. I think that people within the corridors of power naturally have a problem with criticism. But let's talk about accountability and transparency. How would you rate Father ALIA'S administration on accountability, particularly in handling security matters and government funds? Because this question will lead me to former Governor Autumn's advice, talking about him allowing local governments to function and release funds to them. But let's talk about his accountability, particularly in handling security matters and government fund.
In your introduction, you made mention that he was able to save $1 billion each every month as a result of the discovery of ghost workers, right?
Yeah, that's what reports say.
Okay. So that shows that in that regard, he was accountable. He was transparent for telling us how much he was able to save, right? Now, when it has to do with his security votes monthly, what has he said? Which media house have said something with regards to his security votes that he gets monthly? How much does he get monthly from the federal coffers as security votes? It's not known. We don't know. So that goes to show that in that regard, when it has to do with security and the fight against insecurity in the state, he's not open. Because if he collects 4 billion or 3 billion every month as security votes, then at the end of each month, he tells us that he was able to motivate the security agencies in the state. He did this to the commissioner of police. He bought this, he bought that. Some time ago, he bought well over about 50 or so or more Hilux and motorbikes, right? How much was expended in buying those vehicles and motorbikes? Nobody knows. So it goes to show that in the fight against insecurity, the budget that has to do with security, he's not transparent. That's the point. So let Nigerians, let Benue citizens know that this is the effort you are making. But in all the cry, in all the worry, in all his intention that Benue should be okay, at least with regards to insecurity, we don't know all that. Okay, look at his advisors on security. The three of them, the advisor on security, external, internal, and the DG of Bureau of Homeland Security, they are all thief men from his ethnic group. Now, the kidnapping
all three from a particular ethnic group?
Yes, they're all thieves.
So how are you supposed to get intelligence from other parts of the state?
That's the point. That's the point. Now, the community where that Benue Links was attacked and about 11 passengers plus the driver kidnapped, that one managed to escape. That's the Idoma-speaking part. And that route is known for kidnapping. It's my community, it's my area. So I know where they usually kidnap based on my research. Don't forget that I told you that I did my PhD thesis on kidnapping for ransom.
Right.
So it's my area of interest. Right. From that speaking part, the Idoma speaking part, as I speak to you, this is 2 years plus gone in Governor ALIA'S administration. No Idoma person, no other person as his advisor to the man on security. So if he wants to get briefs with regards to the insecurity issues in the Idoma speaking part, from who will he get that information?
Very right. Quite very important question to answer there.
From who? From who will he get that information? Nobody.
But so the appointees are supposed to have like people that they work with around different local government areas and, I mean, persons from different tribes within the state. Do you think any of that is in place, or are you aware of any of that being in place?
To the best of my knowledge, I'm not aware. So if the zone C, which is the Dama speaking part, has 9 local governments, what is it too much for somebody from that zone to have to be an advisor on security to the governor? We have 3 senatorial districts. So if you want to make security a priority, if you're interested in making security a priority, why can't you get one advisors on security from the 3 senatorial districts? So that you need to expand the scope. Don't restrict it or limit it to your people that you speak same language with.
Right. Well, it's
so that's it.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, so that's the point I'm making. You see, security issues are not just come to read speeches or talk. Security issues needs action. We need to walk the talk, right?
Yeah.
So it's not for you to carry papers and come and sit and now what is it that he's doing differently? If the conventional security agencies, when these attacks happen, they deploy soldiers, deploy police. After 1 week or thereabout, they are withdrawn. And so if they withdraw these soldiers and police that were deployed during attacks,
what is it that's ground? I totally get your position in all of this, and I think that something significant from the president's speech at the town meeting that day was the fact that he asked the IG in that event that why are there no arrests so far? Why is it that nobody has been arrested? And that is quite worrisome, because in likely situations you see that people might be arrested for questioning and investigation, proper investigation, before you are able to separate who is guilty or who is involved. But in this case, something of that magnitude happening, massacre of over 200 persons, persons, and I mean, a whole community almost ravaged and left with nothing. Then something is fundamentally wrong somewhere. Still speaks about his leadership style and the fact that his leadership style is crippling security in Benue State. But let's talk about Governor Otom before we leave Benue State. Given the current situation, do you think that former Governor Otom's advice to Father ALIA to allow local governments to function and also control their resources is timely? And could this approach potentially address some of the state security and governance challenges?
Now, if to the best of my knowledge, I can't remember or recall if former Governor Otom allowed the local government to function by allowing their resources go straight to them. But having said that, let me say that if Governor Otom is out there now advising the governor to allow local government resources go straight to them, I want to see it as a welcome development as well, that there's need for the local government allocation to go straight to the local government chairman. Now, there are 3 tiers of government.
Right.
This thing is not rocket science. If we are ready to do the right thing, and unfortunately for us, people that are in political positions that are supposed to be seen as leaders, that are supposed to live by example, that are supposed to be mentors to the younger generation, are not doing that. The law is clear. There's a Supreme Court judgment that local government funds should go straight to local government. Why are you still interfering with the local government allocation? There are 3 tiers of government: federal, state, and local. And the local is at the grassroots.
Yeah.
And the grassroots is where this crime happened. It is at the grassroots that we have forests, bushes, mountains, that these criminals go carry out these acts of criminality, retreat back into this forest, and nothing can be done. The local government chairman is handicapped because he doesn't have resources to work with. Just the way the governor, I was saying, just the way the governor must work with the heads of security agencies at the state, so also the chairman should also work with the heads of security agencies at the local level. We have local security structures at the local government level. When you call, traditional rulers, religious leaders, and other community leaders are also stakeholders when we're talking about security and managing security. They're also security managers. In the event where the local government chairman has the capacity in terms of resources, because his money is coming straight to him without interference from the governor, he can also call a local government security meeting where we have communities, where clan heads, some community leaders that the local government chairman feel are critical stakeholders, where he needs to get information from them with regards to the security issues around their community. In the event where they see something, they have a channel or an avenue where they can report. When such people come for such local government meetings at the local government headquarters, and you think that when they take their resources and come and they are not reimbursed while they are going back, you think they will come back tomorrow for another meeting to pass?
Exactly. But you said the governor is is a thief person by tribe.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. Very well.
Having said all that, 3 security appointees from the same tribe, thief. And in that meeting with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Totiv clearly stated that the situation in Benue State is not what is being reported or how the message has been conveyed to the presidency or the public, and he stated categorically what the situation is, and a lot of people applauded him. Do you think that the governor did not have this information, or what exactly? I mean, I've asked you over and over again what the problem is, but miscommunication seems to be a major challenge here, but I don't want to answer that question for you. What do you think is going wrong within that circle? If the same people from the same tribe who are supposed to be brothers and sisters who understand each other's dialect, then why is communication a problem?
You see, when you get misinformation, when you don't get the right information, and you know, we talked about the governor's inconsistencies in the report. Now, I go with what the Totif said. What happened in the Elwata community? It is not herders, farmers. It wasn't a communal clash. For me, as an expert in the field of security, that was a clear act of terrorism. That's my view, my expert opinion. Clear act of terrorism. How can you come to a community with fuel, with arms, sophisticated arms, with cutlasses? You burn houses that women and children are sleeping in it. Then when they attempt to come out, you either shoot or use the cutlass on them, and you killed well over 200 persons, and you say it's farmers' header. That is pure act of terrorism.
So what's the miscommunication within that circle because of time? What is happening? Is it that the Totif is not talking to the governor, or the governor does not have access to the reality on ground, or his security advisors don't even know what is happening? Because if you have to bring the president all the way, and everybody in the country is more particular about the position of the president, accusing the presidency of not being sensitive about the plight of the people of Benue State. But as the #1 citizen in the state, what's the problem with communication?
There's nothing wrong with communication. You see, an average Nigerian governor claims to know everything. Unfortunately, when you talk about security, they are on top of it. When you talk about the economy, they are on top of it. I've seen a governor, and even former president, what's his name, Olusegun Obasanjo, that said that I appointed you as advisors. It's not for you to come and begin to advise me. So some of these are
it's for you to get paid and add it to your CV that you were once advisor to the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's quite unfortunate. It's
very unfortunate.
But I want
you bring professionals. You bring professionals on board, and you don't want to listen to them.
Well, most of the time,
why did you appoint them?
People have accused most people in government that they don't even get to employ the best hands. They get to employ people that can be easily manipulated and do their bidding without listening to them. But let's shift our attention now to Zamfara State. This should interest you too, where the governor is reportedly considering negotiating with bandits. And on their part, the Northern Security and Integrity Forum, NSIF, has accused Governor Lawal of hypocrisy, citing his previous criticism of former Governor Bello Matawale's approach to banditry And they also argue that Matawale's strategy of dialogue and reconciliation was visionary and pragmatic, and that Lawal's current approach lacks a strategic framework beyond optics. In about 1 minute, because of time, what are your thoughts on this approach? And do you think it could be an effective way to address security challenges in Zamfara?
Since you said in 1 minute, my answer is no. It shows the weakness on the part of government. How can you think of negotiating with terrorists, bandits that have committed mayhem, catastrophe in your state, turn children to orphans, women widow, men widowers, destroyed communities? At the end of the day, you say you want to negotiate with them. On what basis are you doing that? Right? If you negotiate with each set of bandits, another set comes and say, okay, they're another group. How long will you continue negotiating? And that is why it is not good to start what you cannot continue, right? And I've seen where governors negotiated with bandits, and it did not get well with their subordinates, and they broke out. And they broke out from the first group that they were, and went and formed their own group, right? So there are a lot of disadvantages when you think negotiating with bandits will bring result. It will never bring that desired result.
Okay.
Right? I expect that the government should be able to empower themselves, both kinetically and otherwise, to be able to confront these criminal elements, because they are criminals. Why do we have laws? Why do we have punishment in our book? If anybody commits acts of terrorism or banditry and all that, and the person deserves to be killed, let the person be killed. Ondo State have declared that death penalty for kidnappers.
Yeah.
So we should toe the path of seeing that we have stringent punishment, that the punishment will far outweigh the crime when committed. I cannot go and kill somebody now and tell me that I should come and spend 2 years in prison.
Right.
It means that the other people will kill more.
All right, Doctor. Let's talk about the Constitution amendments, because the Senate is considering 31 proposals for state creation, with a focus on granting full autonomy to 774 local government areas in the nation. In your opinion, what implications do you think this could have for governance and security in Nigeria as we wrap up the conversation?
Now you're talking about full local government autonomy. The Supreme Court has given judgment with regards to full local government autonomy. So if the Apex Court can give such judgment, and we have governors that have refused to comply or obey the judgment, and they are still strangling local governments with their funds, is that, you think, is what the National Assembly is saying now that they will do? I think that having passed that judgment, I expect that our governors should comply. They should obey. Then number two, there's a section in the Constitution that has to do with joint tax. What do you call it now? Where they bring these funds together before they begin to distribute or disburse. I can't remember the name again. Something joint, something at the state level. It is contained in the Constitution. The National Assembly should expunge it from the Constitution, so that the governors will not have that powers anymore. Therefore, state creation is difficult to create states in a democracy. Well, I wish this one will see the light of the day.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Okorie, for your thoughts and insights. We appreciate your insightful analysis and perspectives shared on the show so far concerning security challenges facing Benue State, Zamfara State, and of course, the leadership style of Governor ALIA. I mean, talking about the events in Zamfara State and the potential plan to negotiate with bandits and the Senate proposals for constitutional amendments. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so these issues, I mean, we've highlighted so many issues which highlight the complexities of governance and security in Nigeria. And it is essential to continue this conversation and seek solutions that prioritize the welfare and safety of the Nigerian people. To our viewers, thank you so much for joining us on this discussion. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and let's work together towards a better Nigeria. I am Adefunke Jayesimin, and I strongly believe in this project, Nigeria. Nigeria will be great again. Good afternoon.